Welcome to the Golden Seams, where we, Gabe and Michae, your hosts, invite you to join us on a transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Our podcast is all about helping you uncover your authentic self, find your true calling, and create prosperity in alignment with your deepest values and aspirations.
We're embarking into the realm of self-love and self-worth, guided by the illuminating wisdom of Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. Prepare to challenge societal expectations and embrace your authentic self as we delve into this groundbreaking work that has touched millions of lives worldwide. Through Brown's expertise for wholehearted living, we'll discover together how to let go of who we think we're supposed to be and embrace who we truly are. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. This is a quote by theologian Howard Thurman. Brené Brown always gives to her graduate students. Welcome to Guidepost 9, Cultivating Meaningful Work, Letting Go of Self-Doubt, and Supposed to.
Brené starts this guidepost out sharing the connections her research showed between how we think, feel, and act. She shares that living a wholehearted life included engaging in what many people she interviewed called meaningful work. Others spoke of having a calling, and some simply described feeling a tremendous sense of accomplishment and purpose from their work. Brené shares a list of words that emerged as being important and somehow connected to the quest for meaningful work. Gifts and talents, spirituality, making a living, commitment, supposed tos, and self-doubt.
Brené tells us we all have gifts and talents. When we cultivate those gifts and share them with the world, we create a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. Gabe and I wanted to share the following points from Brené's research, where she found the connections and rebuilt this guidepost as she took apart the idea of meaningful work. We all have gifts and talents. When we cultivate those gifts and share them with the world, we create a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives.
Squandering our gifts brings distress to our lives. As it turns out, it's not merely benign or too bad if we don't use the gifts that we've been given. We pay for it with our emotional and physical well-being. When we don't use our talents to cultivate meaningful work, we struggle. We feel disconnected and weighed down by feelings of emptiness, frustration, resentment, shame, disappointment, fear, and even grief.
Most of us who are searching for spiritual connection spend too much time looking up at the sky and wondering why God lives so far away. God lives within us, not above us. Sharing our gifts and talents with the world is the most powerful source of connection with God.
Using our gifts and talents to create meaningful work takes a tremendous amount of commitment because in many cases, the meaningful work is not what pays the bills. Some folks have managed to align everything. They use their gifts and talents to do the work that feeds their souls and families. However, most people piece it together.
And no one can define what's meaningful for us. Culture doesn't get to dictate if it's working outside the home, raising children, lawyering, teaching, or painting. Like our gifts and talents, meaning is unique to each one of us. I really liked when Brené said sharing our gifts and talents with the world is the most powerful source of connection with God. To me, this is why each one of us is created perfectly in our own uniqueness. It goes back to that point that I always drive home, which is that the Creator experiences through us, that we are extensions of the divine. The universe is constantly expanding, as are we, through our creations. I really think that all sort of is intertwined in that. The other piece that I really liked was when she said, most people piece it together. It made me feel hopeful because I think a lot of times people think that this person has it all made and they're just figuring it out. Everybody's just figuring it out.
I love that. That part that you mentioned where she talks about sharing our talents as a source of connection with God. It makes me think if we're made in the image of God, why wouldn't we be creative or creators of our destiny, of our lives? And all of this leaves me thinking how difficult it is to even find any context for this, looking outside of ourselves. It seems like this is a type of alignment that is inwardly experienced through our choices. those are the reasons, like in the second point where she says squandering our gifts brings distress. You know,
Mm.
I feel like the squandering comes from looking outside, comparing, looking and finding and listening to reasons that are coming from anywhere but the inside and doing things that bring us joy. And it may be an oversimplification, but I've always thought that no matter what, doing things that make me joyful is always the right choice because I'm a better person when I'm happy, not only to myself, but to those around me. So even though it may not measure up in the same metrics always, and it doesn't mean it doesn't, for profit, productivity, whatever those things are, there's a guaranteed net positive result from that. Because sometimes we can compromise when we're feeling distress and we react.
I also liked where she said that meaning is unique to each one of us. It goes back to what we understand now, that the same people can all see the same thing. They can all have the same quote experience, and yet each and every person experiences it differently. So kids raised by the same parents have a totally different perception of the parents. They had a different experience with the parent, and they may agree on some things, but oftentimes they have a different perspective or a different experience with the parents or at that point in their lives. And we know it goes back to, right, ages and environment, what's influencing them, what they've been exposed to, so forth. There's all these different pieces, but that translates over into every single thing.
Yes.
And so what is meaningful to one person is not meaningful to another person. But that's the beauty of it.
It reminds me of this story of, not even a story, but I guess like a thought. How easy it is to misinterpret when you try to communicate meaning, even within like religion or spirituality. But this image of like somebody pointing to source or the one or God, that idea. So there's like Jesus pointing, Moses, Buddha, Muhammad, everybody's pointing, right? But people are getting caught up in like their finger and they're looking at what they're wearing and where they came from and where they're standing. And nobody's looking at what they're pointing at. The hunch I have is that it's the same thing everybody's pointing to. They might just be trying to communicate the same meaning, you know? And then there's so
Mm-hmm.
many different ways to interpret what they're saying that they
Mm-hmm.
could be having the same experience within themselves and just being like, wow, look how awesome all this is. Trying to communicate that with others. And then and then that turns into this situation we find ourselves in.
I want to even take it to another level, which goes back to, if you look at this, this is almost like the flip side of pain is pain, right? What one person's pain is not another person's pain, but we all understand pain. And I would like to take this to a higher level of what's meaningful to someone that fulfills them is not going to be meaningful necessarily to someone else, but by having the respect and understanding that that's meaningful to someone else,
Yes,
it helps us build upon each other and support each other. And that is the thing that creates connection and builds relationships.
absolutely. And I think that that's the only way we'll create a world with permission for ourselves too.
Yes. Think of how different the world would be if that's what we all started looking at.
Enjoyed what you heard? There's more to explore. For full-length discussions, exclusive content, and easy-to-use tools designed to effortlessly support your authentic transformation, subscribe to our Patreon, The Golden Seams. Don't miss out. We welcome you to join our growing community and dive deeper into the topics you love. Experience The Golden Seams on Patreon and unlock the complete experience for yourself now. Brené introduces self-doubt and supposed to. She talks about a gauntlet of gremlins that start by taunting us about our gifts and talents. She says they can sound something like, maybe everyone has special gifts, except for you. Maybe that's why you haven't found them yet. Yes, you do that well, but that's not really a gift. It's not big enough or important enough to be a real talent.
This is how the negative thoughts and doubts creep in. And Brené tells us self doubt undermines the process of finding our gifts and sharing them with the world. Moreover, if developing and sharing our gifts is how we honor spirit and connect with God, self doubt is letting our fear undermine our faith.
When I was younger, I used to have these thoughts, and they would come up in moments where I'd be sitting alone and they were ideas for drawings or things I wanted to make. I remember sometimes I would start trying, and my friends around me sometimes would make comments about how it was going, and those things started really weighing on that desire to make it. After giving up on a few of the projects, I realized this anxiety of, if I don't do it, who's gonna? Nobody's gonna see this thing in my head, not even me. And that seems lame. And this is a complete oversimplification, but I almost have this mantra for things that are important to me. I realize that if I don't do it, nobody's going to. And that's not in a bad way, because it also means that I get to choose how it's done to match the way it showed up in my heart and my mind.
When I read this, self-doubt undermines the process of finding our gifts and sharing them with the world. I couldn't help but think of how many Einsteins are we missing? How many solutions are we missing? How many great artists, Georgia O'Keeffe, Picasso, who stepped outside of the normal way of thinking, of doing things, that gave us these magnificent openings into something else. I propose that when the self-doubt does start to creep in, maybe pursue anyway.
I definitely second that.
Brené says, suppose to, the battle cry of fitting in, perfectionism, people-pleasing, and proving ourselves. You're supposed to care about making money, not meaning. You're supposed to grow up and be blank. Everyone's counting on it. You're supposed to hate your work. That's the definition of work. If you're brave, you're supposed to quit your job and follow your bliss. Don't worry about money. You're supposed to choose work you love or work that supports the people you love. And I added, who doesn't have a lousy boss? You're supposed to have a lousy boss or a work environment. She says, to overcome self-doubt and supposed to, we have to start owning the messages. What makes us afraid? What's on our supposed to list? Who says and why? I thought, start questioning all of that.
I think a fun game to play is trying to trace these back to the first time we heard it, because that's helped me solve a lot.
Yes. Is this my parents' thoughts? Is this some teachers' thoughts, some professors, some bosses? Is this somebody from who thought this first? And do I think this? Is this what I really think? Brené tells us that if we ignore self-doubt, it just gets louder in our minds. And she says it's usually best to just acknowledge the messages, write them down. She says writing them down and owning these messages of self-doubt doesn't give the messages more power. It gives us more power. It gives us the opportunity to say, I get it. I see that I'm afraid of this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think this goes back to shining a light on truth. When you have the truth of whatever that truth is for you, it allows you to make decisions and move forward.
Totally. And for me, it helps realize how big these things I dismiss as little are. Because I start paying attention to it, how often I use it, what it affects, how limiting it actually is. Like you said, it brings it into the light from this shadow. It's occupying that space and affecting our lives. And writing it down and thinking about it, you have to really see everything tethered to it.
Yes.
Brené introduces us to Marcy Alboher. She's an author, speaker, and coach, and the author of One Person, Multiple Careers, a new model for work/life success. Alboher interviewed hundreds of people pursuing multiple careers simultaneously and discovered how /careers, researcher/storyteller, artist/real estate agent, integrate and fully express the multiple passions, talents, and interests that a single career cannot accommodate. Marcy's book is full of stories about people who have created meaningful work by refusing to be defined by a single career. Brené introduces this idea to us because there's so many people in the world afraid to claim their work and talents. Overcoming self-doubt is all about believing we're enough and letting go of what the world says we're supposed to be and supposed to call ourselves.
Brené says dig deep, get deliberate. She tells us write down your own criteria for meaningful work. She wanted her work to be inspiring, contemplative, and creative. And she uses these as a filter to make decisions about what she will do, what she will commit to, and how she will spend her time.
Brené tells us get inspired. Here she recommends several books. The first is Marcy Alboher's One Person, Multiple Careers. It includes a lot of practical strategies for living the slash. The second book is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Gladwell proposes there are 3 criteria for meaningful work: complexity, autonomy, and relationship between effort and reward, and that these can often be found in creative work. Lastly, she recommends Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. She tells us she reads it at least once a year as a powerful way of seeing the connections between our gifts, our spirituality, and our work, and how they come together to create meaning in our lives.
And get going. Make a list of the work that inspires you. Don't be practical, she says. Don't think about making a living. Think about doing something you love. There's nothing that says you have to quit your day job to cultivate meaningful work. There's also nothing that says your day job isn't meaningful work. Maybe you just never thought of it that way. What's your ideal slash? What do you want to be when you grow up? What brings meaning to you? I like the perspective shift here where she says that there's nothing that says your day job isn't meaningful work. Maybe you've just never thought of it that way. It helps you to sort of look at things in a different light. And therefore, you can see the value in what you're doing. And if you don't see the value, then maybe you should look for something that you feel is more valuable, that aligns more with yourself.
I love that.
We're truly grateful for your presence and participation in this journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Remember, your path to authenticity and prosperity is unique, and we're honored to be a part of it. If you found value in today's episode, we invite you to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Until next time, embrace your imperfections and let them be your greatest gifts.
This is Gabe and Michae signing off from the Golden Seams. May you discover the courage to be vulnerable, the compassion to love yourself, and the wisdom to live wholeheartedly. May your path be golden as you find the strength to mend and beautify the broken parts of your life, weaving golden threads through the fabric of your authentic self, just like the art of kintsugi. We'll see you in our next episode.